What is going on YouTube? Dad with a bike. And in today's video, I think what I'm going to do is kind of do a little bit of conscious thought riding. I don't know how else to explain it, but I thought I would kind of just get on a ride. I got an errand to run, and I would go through what I think about kind of when I'm riding. And this can fall into my Just the Tip playlist, because it really is tips. It's really what I think about when I'm approaching things while I'm riding. So anyway, if you're interested in like kind of that thought process that someone has on a motorcycle, stick around. Alright everybody, thanks for sticking around. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. If I missed something in this video that's something that you think about when you ride, situational awareness, whatever the case may be, drop it in the comment, share it with the class. Let's all learn from one another. Now I'm going to preface this video with a simple fact that I have been riding for a really long time, since I was 18 as a matter of fact, and I'm over 45. How's that? So these are just kind of things that I consciously think about. Maybe there are some things that I take for granted. I don't know, but we'll kind of cover them. Like for example, right here, when I pull up behind this car, I pulled up to the outside left-hand side, and you may not have seen it in the camera, but I'm looking in the rearview mirror because I'm looking for anybody potentially coming up beside me or behind me. And then I am always ready, always ready to gun it if I have to scoot to the outside of this car if somebody's coming up and they want to kill me. And normally I always have it in gear, clutch on, unless there is a car or two behind me. If there's a car or two behind me, I don't worry about it so much because my buffer for getting smashed into is much bigger. But that's one thing that I do, and it's subconscious for me, and I don't really think about it much, but it's just something that I do because you know, you're taught it when you ride, and you kind of pick it up as you increase your skills. Now the other thing that I do when I'm behind somebody like this is I make sure that I can see them in the eye. I make sure that they can actually physically see me, or visibly. Because I want them to know that I'm there, and if they can see me and they can hear me, then they're going to be a little bit more thoughtful about me being right there beside or behind them. Now the other thing that I do is, and this is kind of a riding tip that I've picked up over the years. I know lots of people do it a little bit differently, but as I start to approach a turn, or I'm about to go around a turn that's, you know, of any angle, I cover my brake a little bit because I do trail brake. So I will put a little bit of little brake into this so that I can kind of nicely control, keep the power, all that good stuff. That's a skill that you learn over time, but it's also a skill that you have to be able to practice. So I don't think about it, I just know that I do it because I've been riding for a long time, and I just always cover that front brake, and I always cover my rear brake when I am cruising around a corner. And the primary reason for that is it helps me maintain kind of speed control, and it makes it so that if anything weird were to happen in the corner, an animal jumps out in front of me or whatever, I can quickly choose how I want to react and how I want to avoid the situation because I've got my hands over the controls and I'm ready to go. I'm always ready. See, like this car coming up behind me, he's coming up behind me crazy fast. Now another thing that I do is I do ride a little fast, and I do ride, I don't know if you'll call it aggressively, but let's just call it defgressively. That's a word, defgressively. Defensively aggressive. Because what I learned over the years is if I ride in a subtle manner and I ride over to the right hand side and I'm all cautious, for some reason people in cars take advantage of that. You know, you're not riding your bike very hard, it's harder for them to hear you. I don't know why, I really don't know why, but almost every time people in cars take advantage of the motorcyclist who rides super cautiously. They'll get out and they'll pull out in front of them, they'll pull over in front of them, they'll do things that are just weird. So with me riding aggressively, that typically gets avoided because I'm going much faster, they can hear me, and I can make adjustment moves like that. So another thing that I do when I'm riding is kind of my position in the lane. I will use the entire lane. Majority of the time I will ride to the outside of my lane because I want to establish my lane dominance. I want to make sure that cars and others around me know that this is my lane. There are many like it, but this one is mine. So the more that I ride over to the right-hand side and I occupy this side of the road, or this side of my lane, the less likely they are to want to share my lane or want to scoot into my lane. Now let's talk about approaching intersections, because I just approached that one, went through that one, but you all probably didn't see because you can't see my eyes. You can't see what I'm doing. But as I approach an intersection, I think that everybody at that intersection's sole purpose in life is to kill me. I really do. And while I may not see it because I'm talking, I move my hands and whatever else, I am uber vigilant. Like this dude, what are you doing? You can't turn there. You're already on the other side of the solid line, dippity douchebag. But anyway, as we go through this intersection, I'm looking at a few different things. I gotta keep an eye on the cars in front of me because they may stop just out of, you know, for no damn reason. And then I gotta look at these cars over the left-hand side. They're sitting over there that may want to run out in front of me. And I'm approaching this turn, and I never know if there's an emergency vehicle or what's coming through this intersection, so I am constantly looking around. My head is on a swivel. And now we're about to merge, coming into an on-ramp. I do a lot of things when I come onto an on-ramp. Look at the car in front of me, I look at the cars to the left-hand side. I'm shoulder checking, and I am trying to get over to this lane as fast as possible. And again, it's all about getting over to this fast lane, establishing my dominance. I'm here, I'm gonna ride faster than the cars around me, and it's just me, you know, asserting myself, making sure people know I'm around, and I get out of any weird situations when you get into highway mergers, because for some reason, people have the foggiest idea how to merge onto a highway. I come across more situations where people in cars, and I see this happen with people on motorcycles too, is that they gingerly merge. They're trying to like decide, I don't know what I do. I want to go as fast as traffic. How do I want to fit into this lane? And that's dangerous. You got to commit. You have to get up to speed. A lot of times those merge lanes are short, and if you don't get up to speed and get over and merge into traffic, then you're impeding the people behind you, and you actually run the risk of getting rear-ended. Now, at the end of the day, you getting rear-ended is not your fault. It's the car behind you fault for failure to maintain speed. But still, do you want to put yourself into that situation? I don't. The other thing that I avoid is I avoid situations where there's a car behind me, kind of to my left-hand side, almost near the back rear wheel, and I've got a car in front of me. Because when that stuff happens and they're, you know, close to me, I've got a car in front of me, and in the lane beside me I've got a car, but he's behind me, he's just, you know, kind of parallel to my rear wheel. That makes me nervous, because if the car in front of me brakes, I've got to choose an exit path, and if that car beside me is super close to my rear tire, that means that exit path is compromised, because I don't know what he's going to do. So I try to avoid being put into that situation at all costs. That's why I will downshift, I will weave out of that situation. I will do whatever I can to make sure that as I'm cruising down the road, I don't have anybody sitting in that position. It's not quite a blind spot, but it's almost a blind spot. You know, I can like still see them in the mirrors. If I shoulder check, I'll be able to see them, but it's still a sketchy situation to be put in. You know, I just think about if that car in front of me had to brake fast, most likely what they're going to do, if they're in that far left lane, they're going to brake fast and they're going to dive off to the left. So my escape route is not to the left, it's to the right. And if my escape route is to the right and I got a car that's sitting parallel to my rear wheel, that's no longer an escape route. Remedy that shit pretty fast. Now in the state of Texas, we are not allowed to lane filter. Wish we could. Sometimes I do. If it's too damn hot, I will lane filter. But you get caught, they will give you a ticket, and it's a mighty ticket if you get caught. But I really wish they did let us lane filter, because this is the sketchiest situation for a motorcyclist to be is in slow traffic, mashed between two cars, because I got a car in front of me and who knows what the car behind me is doing. People are on their cell phones these days. You've got cars that drive themselves that have been known to smash into things for no damn reason. So it's kind of sketchy. I don't like it. I really wish Texas would get off their ass and pass a lane filtering bill, because I'd scoot up either the middle of here or I'd jump over on that shoulder and I'd go. There is a law in Texas that lets a motorcyclist get into that right-hand shoulder lane if they were going to make a turn. Like, for example, if I was making that turn up there, I could legally be over in that lane and I wouldn't get a ticket. But the problem is in Texas, nobody really understands that or knows that, so some asshole up there would see me scooting by and be like, oh, he can't get to that turn before me, and would pull over in front of me. And then we'd have choice words and it would be unpleasant. So unless it's like uber hot, I don't do that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing that I do, whether it's in, you know, regardless of if it's slow traffic or even if traffic's moving at a good pace, or if I'm just out generally riding and there's cars in front of me, you know, I'm always looking around left and right and make sure there's no like objects and weird stuff in the road. But one of the things that I do a lot of is I find myself looking into the back of the cars that I'm behind. You know, I see that guy there, I see the person up there in that SUV, and I pay attention to their body language, because that tells me a lot about them as a driver. Their body language will tell me if they're on the phone, if they're distracted, if, you know, whatever else is going on in that car. Their body language, as I can see through the rear glass and through the side mirrors, definitely tells me a lot about how they're behaving as a driver. And then that informs me on whether or not I want to get the hell away from them, and if I do, then I will drop a gear and dis a freaking pier. See, like just right there at that stoplight, that dude in that Highlander in front of me is on his cell phone, so I don't really want to be around him, but I got nowhere to go. So because of that, I'm going to back off from him a bit, because he sucks as a person. Get off your phones, people. See that car just pulled out in front of him? Man, I tell you what, Nimrod, crazy people. Be vigilant. That is the biggest tip that I can give in this whole conversation, is I'm just kind of mentally going through the things that I do when I ride, is be vigilant. It's funny, there are sometimes I will get people who comment on my videos about, I can't believe you didn't see that person in that, I can't believe you didn't, whatever. Yes, I did. I promise I saw them, and I promise I was ready to react and do whatever I needed to do to not be involved in a bad situation. So my primary recommendation to anybody out there on two wheels, all these little things that I think about when I ride, you know, the biggest one is be vigilant. Actually, it all centers around being vigilant. And with that, we're going to leave you. Do me a favor, drop me a comment and tell me what you think, and throw me your own little tips and ideas on this whole not dying when you ride thing. And with that, we'll leave you. Y'all have a good one. I love y'all. Y'all be safe. Ride vigilant, but ride it like you stole it. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.